Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another episode of The Culture. The Culture is a show which aims to highlight, showcase, and raise awareness to all the activities and occurrences that are happening within the Zambian creative industry and creative space. The Culture aims to provide a platform to some of Zambia's emerging and pre-existing talent, and we aim to help Zambia diversify. Zambia doesn't only have potential in its natural raw materials or resources. I believe Zambia also has a lot of resources and raw materials within the people itself. So the Culture is here to provide that platform. And without further ado, I would like to introduce to you the second guest for the second episode of The Culture. And this is an amazing creative individual who has chosen to specialize in a particular field of artistic talent, which involves visual art. NUKWASE is this particular artist. NUKWASE needs no introduction. NUKWASE has made significant strides within the artistic sector within Zambia to raise awareness on social issues, to raise awareness on current affairs, and to raise awareness on the current climate of the Zambian landscape. Without further ado, hello NUKWASE.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for making it onto this show. It's an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to have you on board.
Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome, you're welcome. So, to get things started off and to get the ball rolling, what would you describe your main channel of communicating through your art in? Is it painting? Is it another kind of expression? How do you channel your artistic endeavors?
Well, mostly I do painting, but I also do collage. I do sculptural installations. I do drawings as well. So I'm pretty much a mixed media artist.
A mixed media artist.
Yeah.
So you're able to use various ways of communicating your ideas and your imagination across.
Exactly.
Well, for the most part, I want to step into your mind. I want to get your understanding, your perceptions, how you feel the artistic industry within Zambia is progressing, and a little insight into who the person is behind the wonderful artwork. What do you define as art to yourself?
To myself, art is a way of life. Yeah. It transcends just expressing oneself. Like for me, it is my life. Like I live, I breathe art. Creativity is, for me, it's a way of life. So that's how I personally define what art is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, based off your definition, is it safe to say that there's art within everything?
Yes, there is.
What sort of examples? Nature?
Nature, technology, food, sports, and just about everything around us is inspired by art. It's inspired by people's imaginations.
Yes.
You know, like everything, like the clothes we're wearing.
Yes.
Even the way we speak.
Yes.
Is, for me, it is art. You know, people came up with different kinds of dialects and language. It's evolved over time, and
Yes.
you know, people have added onto it. They've taken from it. You know, as humanity, as people have migrated around
Yes.
the world.
Yes.
You know, everything has. There's been a constant evolution of creation.
Yes.
Like of constantly creating. If you do have an eye, you do realize and you do recognize that this is a kind of creative process, and even learn to appreciate it
Is
in
this
that
something
regard.
that can be learned over time, maybe?
Yes, it is.
Or is it an acquired taste? Is it only for Vamayadi? Is it
No,
only for
no,
the people with money?
No, definitely not. I mean, we human beings we're teachable.
Yes.
So if I can learn something today, it means you too can learn something.
Definitely.
So yeah, it's not rigid, like subject to just like one kind of people. No, and that is why artists like Picasso believed that everyone is born an artist. Like everyone is born an artist. And now, at first I never believed it. You know, I always used to say, no, Picasso, what are you talking about?
Yes.
But now that I've grown older and I've actually come to realize that creativity is not limited to one thing. You can be creative in so many ways.
That's
and
amazing.
So yeah, everyone is actually born an artist. It's just others grow out of it, and then others decide to remain that way. When I turned 21 is when I met someone who encouraged me, because now at that time I had my auntie had gifted me with a sketchbook.
Thank you, Auntie. Thank you.
She gifted me with a really, really nice thick sketchbook, and I had all these amazing portraits in it.
Sure.
So I used to carry it around pretty much everywhere I went for some reason. I think I just wanted to show it off or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, I met Mr. Jeff Sitali. He's a cinematographer, and I was on set for one of the film projects that he worked on with Media 365.
Sure.
Yeah, so during our acting workshop, he was very, he used to interact with all of us, asking us what we want to do, our dreams, what we want to study and stuff like that. So he saw my sketchbook, went through it. He asked me, so what do you want to study? So I told him. At that time now, I had decided that I wanted to do something at least that was close to what I liked to do.
So something creative in nature?
Yes.
Okay.
So the closest I could think of to my art was architecture.
Yay!
So yeah, I was actually in the process of wanting to go and apply. So I explained that to him, and he was like, why are you wasting your time? Like, don't pursue that. Why don't you pursue this? You can actually go to school for this. And yeah, so he introduced me to one of Zambia's prominent artists, who later on became one of my art lecturers, Mr. William B. Miko.
William B. Miko.
Yeah. So I went to see Mr. Miko. I also went to join the Visual Arts Center in the showgrounds at the Henry Talley Gallery. Yeah, and that's how my journey as a
so
visual
piece by
artist,
piece, things started falling together.
They started to fall in place, yeah. So then, but then between then, the next 4 years, I was part of the art fraternity, and I'd exhibit here and there. But then, because I was working, I was working and going to school, so I didn't really have time.
That was stressful. You're juggling.
Yeah, I was juggling, and so I didn't really have time to create as much as I would have wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did mostly portraits, like I'll do commission portraits and stuff like that, yeah.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned portraits. So moving past that stage, now do we get to the tipping point or the fine line between you transitioning from portraits into understanding what it is exactly you want to do?
Yeah, okay, so the decision to do surreal art, I made the moment I decided to pursue art.
How easy has it been for you to genuinely stick to that journey of surrealism?
So when I embarked on the journey, on my journey to become an artist, I made a conscious decision to say, I'm going to be a surrealist.
Sure.
Yeah, but then it didn't come naturally, obviously, because I was so used to doing portraits from the time I was 11. I was doing portraits up to 21, somewhere there. So I had the image in my mind to say, this is what I'm going to do, but I had no idea, like, on how I was going to start, where I was going to start. I just knew that I had to do it sometime.
Yeah.
So I went through sort of like an artist block. Like, I had no clue. I didn't.
Artist block. I'm sure some of you can relate to that.
I had no clue. Like, I didn't know where to begin. So anyway, I just continued with the portraits. I did a few paintings, but portraits still. Then the first time it came to me was in 2010. So
that's about 10 years ago.
Yeah, about 10 years ago. At the time, I used to write a lot of poetry, and
Yay!
that's where most of the poems that you see me post, it's stuff from back then. Yeah, so I was really like obsessively writing lots of poetry, and then it was at a time, I was doing a lot of research on certain topics, doing lots of reading. And so most times I do suffer from insomnia. Yeah, so it was one of those nights where I just woke up, like got out of bed and just started to sketch. And these images just started coming out, and I was like, oh, I can actually do this. And it was really an amazing piece, and I was like, wow, I did that. Yeah. So
that was a breakthrough.
Yeah, that was the breakthrough. So yeah, from then I did a few sketches maybe, but I was still like, it wasn't coming. I knew it was there. Yeah, I knew it was there, but it wasn't like coming forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next time I did something was 3 years later, like the end of 2013. In 2014, it just started like to flow much easier. And yeah, I've pretty much been on a roll since then.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I think it's been one of the foundations of the topic of discussion is because, in my humble opinion, I feel like surrealist art is still something that is developing and growing within the Zambian art industry. When I came across your work, and I've told you this before in speaking, I hadn't quite yet seen anything that was quite like it. Now, what has surrealism done for you in regards to the art community and how people are receiving this type of work, which has multi-dimensional meanings and contexts?
Well, it has definitely set me apart from the rest, and the reception is obviously it's been positive, because like most people who come across my work, the first thing that they say is, oh, I had no idea that we have Zambian artists who create work that actually has a story. Like, you can actually tell an intricate story from this work, because we always see portraits and what, and this is actually really, really amazing to see. And it's also been, I guess, encouraging for the younger artists who are coming after me. Like there's quite a number of them who like they appreciate my work, and you know, they tell me like, you know what, you actually inspire me to do this. I want to get into this. It's really interesting. I've always wanted to do this kind of work.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's something that well, people say I'm the first one who started to do it. So I'm happy to say that at least I started. I may not be the first surreal artist in the world, but in Zambia, definitely.
Yes.
And well, it's definitely something that a lot of artists would shy away from, because they were not sure if it's something lucrative. There's no guarantee that people actually relate to this kind of work and want to spend on it. So there's actually a lot of artists even who I know who would rather do the stuff that they know will easily sell, like stuff they've been doing. It's, you know, market scenes,
yes,
or children playing and stuff like that. It's the safe work, or landscapes or whatever.
Yes.
So doing work that is outside of that sphere is very risky. And even though they see me making strides, they're still quite afraid to take a leap okay, it doesn't have to be surreal work. It can be whatever style that they do, but
just being true to
just being true, like
to
truly expressing yourself, like how you're feeling, what's going on around you,
yes,
like talking about relevant issues. Like there's so many things that we can talk about. A lot of people do shy away from that because sort of like you kind of start treading on political ground and
thin
ice, and yeah. So
we all know that sometimes freedom of expression is a gray area.
It is.
There's one quote from correct me if I'm wrong, anyone who knows the exact quote, but Idi Amin said something in regards to freedom of expression. He said, there's no problem with you having freedom of expression, but after that freedom of expression, I can't guarantee
your freedom.
Your freedom. Yes.
Exactly.
So it's really a tricky topic, but through your art, you also have an opportunity to be a voice for the voiceless.
Exactly.
You know, I've seen you tackle topics of gender, whether it's gender-based violence, or whether it's forms of abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. I've also seen you address religious stigmas or dogmas. I've seen you address sexuality, and I've seen you address a lot of things that we're all susceptible. Fear, jealousy, pain, envy, lust. And perhaps through expressing these things, you're also helping people come to grips with their contexts.
Yeah.
So I definitely applaud you for being brave.
Thank you.
In expressing some of the things that others are either not brave enough to express, or they don't really know or understand the channel with which to use to express themselves over these views. It's something that is vital, and it's something that we need to keep in a supposedly democratic country where freedom of expression, I think the only way to keep freedom of expression alive is to constantly try and express yourself.
I agree.
But going back to what I'm sure some of the viewers are thinking is, okay, you've pushed the boundary and you've ascended to a certain place. Me, as someone starting out, who just happens to be into surrealism as well.
Mm-hmm.
How do I go about putting some kwachas into my pocket while I'm pursuing this? Do I need to set up a website? Do I need to try and find funds to exhibit? How do I go about it?
I always tell people who are coming up, like, create. Mm-hmm. Like, your number one priority should be to create the work. Don't think about, oh, I need to sell. Mm-hmm. Like, create. Create, and then start to structure how you're going to sell.
Once there's a steady flow.
Once there's a steady flow. Because even if you say, okay, yes, I'm an artist, I can paint, I can do all these things. Someone comes to you and says, oh, okay, can I see what you have? And you have nothing.
You have to be ready.
You have to be ready. So you have, like, the number one thing you do is start to create.
Sure.
Create, perfect your skill, like, go above and beyond. In fact, this time when you feel like you want to start, perfect your skill, like, put in lots of work, put in lots of time, be consistent.
Master your craft.
Master your craft. So that by the time you start to even churn out lots of work, you've mastered it.
I think you mentioned to me that in the year of 2019, was it 2019 or 2018? You made about 50 pieces.
Yes.
In 1 year. And I was thinking, either she's really brilliant or she's really crazy. Yeah, because ultimately they say that there's a thin line between sanity and insanity. Now, these pieces are highly detailed pieces. Some of these pieces are not necessarily just finished in a day or two. Some of these pieces take weeks. Sometimes you stop after you reach a certain point, you get back to it and you come back to it and you refine it. Sometimes you redo certain things to highlight or perfect the detail. And here's someone saying, I do 50 pieces. I said, how do you do that? I said, obviously you must have to multitask sometimes. She said, yeah, sometimes I'll be working on 5 or 6 things at the same time in the same day. And I said, how do you keep the exact frame of mind on knowing where you want each painting to go? When you stop, start, you continue, stop, start, and continue. That's the sort of mastery we're talking about. And I laughed at it merely because I can't do it. So to me, mastering something is knowing yourself and understanding what your capabilities are, pushing those boundaries, pushing those limits, and eventually you get to a point where you can do the sort of things that she's doing. Though I really question how she's able to do it, but it's something that's remarkable, it's commendable. And to any young artists out there listening, those are the sort of things you need to confront yourself with. Is this just a phase? Is this something that I'm in for life? Is this something that I believe I want to solely be able to depend on as an income? Because if it is something you need to depend on as an income, then take her advice. High output, stay passionate, stay focused. But are there also times you need to take a break to refuel or replenish your...
Definitely take a break, because you don't want to burn yourself out. Mm-hmm. I've burnt myself out a couple of times, and it's not pretty. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so take a break, but also, like, respect what you do. Like, even if you may not do it, you may not start your work at 7 a.m. in the morning and finish at 17, but dedicate a number of hours in a day. Mm-hmm. If you set yourself to say 8 hours in a day, make sure you meet that 8-hour mark. Mm-hmm. If it's from 16 to midnight, commit to that 8 hours. Yeah. It doesn't matter what time. At least what you're doing is flexible, so you have that advantage. Yes. But respect what you are doing. If you want it to pay you, you need to respect it. You need to put in the work, you need to put in the time, and you need to put in the energy and also the commitment. if there's times that come to say, your friends come over and say, oh, let's go to a party, and you have not met your mark, or you haven't.
And you have to own up to that.
You own up. You choose. Okay,
Yeah.
am I going to work? Am I going to play today and then double my workload?
Figure out how to balance
Yeah.
it, but there's no excuse.
No excuse. Like you
I think
always,
especially within the art sector, where we're still fighting for our respect.
Exactly.
We're still fighting for our worth, and we're still fighting to be deemed to be of equal standing with people in the formal sector.
Yeah.
We need to have a work ethic.
We do. A lot of
that
people.
even supersedes what people in the formal sector are doing.
Exactly.
Because we're still wrestling and fighting for a place at the table.
Yeah.
You recently also had an exhibition.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations on having a successful exhibition.
Thank you.
For those that might not have attended the exhibition, or for those that might not have even been aware, how was it like showcasing? I believe the floor was completely yours.
Yeah. So initially I wanted to have my exhibition at the Lettre Art Gallery, which is at Gallery Park in Rhodes Park. Yeah. But that didn't work out because the time I had set for my show, they also had scheduled to have an exhibition for 2 late artists.
Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, and then prior to that, they hadn't yet opened the gallery up for artists to exhibit, because their gallery is mostly for their work. So they've been collecting Zambian art for over 20 years.
So that's what they're showcasing.
So that's what they showcase most of the time. Yeah. So then I just decided to say, you know what, I'm going to do this on my own, like outside of the gallery system. I was even surprised, like the days prior to the show, like I kept receiving phone calls, people asking like, can we come to your show? Like, can we please have some invitations and stuff like that? So the turnout was extremely good.
Exceeded your expectations.
Exceeded my expectations. So many people turned up, and the best part about it is that a lot of, let me just say, 3/4 of the people turned up were Zambians.
Amazing.
Yeah, because most exhibitions, people target the expats and the tourists. So you find but Zambians have money too.
Yeah.
a lot of money.
And a lot of, we need to kill that that stereotype.
Exactly.
There are Zambians that appreciate fine art. There are Zambians that are willing to pay for fine art.
They are.
And there are Zambians that are also open to learning and experiencing. I'm sure some people, that may have been their first time going to something of that nature.
Yes, a lot of them, and they were so excited. They were like, you know, we didn't know that there's art exhibitions in Zambia. Please make sure you invite us every time you have one. And it was a really
and how did you go about it? Would someone need to specifically request, I like this piece, how much is it, or were prices on display?
So my prices were on display, and then we had a few ladies. So anyway, the venue was at the office complex where my husband works.
Sure.
Yeah. So his interns actually, they offered to help with the sales.
Marvelous.
Yeah, so they were the ones who were dealing with that on the day. But yeah, so the prices were up, and then people who were interested would speak to them.
That's it's really refreshing. Having had the privilege to travel, I've had experience with exhibitions, and knowing that there's more people coming up like you that are actually even taking it into their own hands. Because sometimes a perfect opportunity will not be presented to you.
No.
You have to be willing to go out there and dictate
Yeah.
your influence on the industry
Yeah.
or on the culture
Yeah.
by going through all the things you went through just to get it done. I'm sure that is not the last exhibition
Definitely not.
have in mind. And I'm probably gonna get 10 free pieces? No, it's really awesome. Look, I want us to move on to a segment where we're lucky that NUKWASE has brought in 2 samples of our artworks. And at this point in time, just to give you a feeling or a sample of surrealist art, if you're not familiar with it, or if you're not familiar with her particular surrealism, I'd love to give an opportunity to showcase these 2 artworks before we wrap up this episode of The Culture with NUKWASE. I'll state the obvious first before I start risking.
No, but this one is it's quite simple.
Okay, there's obviously a businessman. You know, there's US dollars there, so this is someone of significant wealth, or he has the money to spend.
And Caucasian descent.
That might also be feeding on the stereotype that males of Caucasian descent
are the ultimate
ATM
machines.
Goal financially, you know, especially within the African context. If an African woman or a black woman is able to marry or find a Caucasian man, then chances are they're good financially. They'll be okay financially.
They will be.
There's a baby. Is the baby mixed race?
Yes.
So this is a mixed race baby, and there is also African woman.
Yes.
So the baby and the woman are entangled. Perhaps
the man too.
The man is entangled
His hand,
as well.
Anyway.
And the hand that has dispersed the money is also this sort
of... The hand is actually where the woman is sitting.
I see.
Yes.
And then the woman also has a very distinct butterfly.
Yes. So the butterflies in my work, they represent either freedom or the illusion of freedom.
The illusion of freedom.
Yeah.
Wow.
If they cover the eyes, then they signify the illusion of freedom.
I think now we're starting to get somewhere.
And then the roses symbolize femininity.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you.
And the second piece?
The second piece is...
Year?
This is 2020.
So this is a piece you've done this year?
Yeah.
Awesome. And does it have a title?
Yes. This one is called Best Before.
Best Before. Okay.
Like best before a certain date. Yeah.
Like the expiration of products, there's the best before, and then there's the expiration date.
Yes.
What I see a woman. I can see that this woman is perhaps in a state of cleansing herself. She's in some, I don't know if it's a bathtub or a shower, but I can also see that there's more to it than just someone who's about to take a bath.
Definitely not taking a bath.
That's, yes. The taps seem to have, oh my goodness. This person is probably in trouble. The taps are dispersing water.
Yes.
There's hands that are also
opening more taps.
So in theory, the water is going to start rising quickly.
Yes.
And then within her is the shape of a time glass, a sand glass, sorry.
Yeah.
Which obviously it counts time.
Yeah.
But it's almost like her time seems to be running out.
Exactly.
Something imminent is about to happen. The roses are turning into sand.
Mm-hmm.
It's very deep, and I think it comes back to the power of surrealism. I've made my own interpretation. Someone else might interpret that this person's time is running out. They have to finish bathing quickly. You know, it could literally...
It can be literal. Or
it could literally be anything.
Because even, I don't know if you've noticed there's faces.
On the
The
showers.
eyes, yeah. Like, so that also represents something. The hands also represent something. I won't tell you guys. I'm done explaining my work.
You've given us more than enough.
Okay.
NUKWASE, if people want to reach you or get in touch with you to gain access to these powerful works, where can someone easily access you or get in contact with you?
The best platform to use is either Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter.
Okay.
My handle is keeping it surreal dash NUKWASE
That's
Tembo.
wordplay again. Keeping it surreal.
Yeah. Dash NUKWASE Tembo art.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if they want to email you directly in regards to a piece? Or?
Emailing me on NUKWASE, as in NUKWASE with a Y at the end,
Okay.
at yahoo.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to sincerely thank you for tuning in once again to another epic episode of The Culture. This is the MC, and a big shout out to King Spirit Studios, where The Culture is filmed. Another thank you for NUKWASE for taking your time and for pouring your soul into this work, and for giving us a taste of what you've done and giving us a hint into what's to come. This is The Culture.